The signals are taking all over. We have to shut it down. Help! It's everywhere! Ah! Get me out! No! It's too late!
The 19.4 Hz Curse, Part 1. The day the signals took control. Dr. Elena Voss had spent a decade chasing invisible frequencies, signals humans were never meant to hear. In the vast, sterile corridors of the Arcturus Research Facility, deep beneath the Nevada desert, she studied the phenomenon that the world outside had dismissed as pseudoscience, a 19.4 Hz wave, subtle, almost inaudible, yet disturbingly persistent. Scientists called it the whisper frequency, an electromagnetic pulse that seemed to resonate directly with the human brain, triggering irrational fear, hallucinations, and sometimes violent behavior. For years, her warnings had fallen on deaf ears. But tonight, Elena felt an unease she couldn't shake, a deep thrum in the floor beneath her boots, vibrating through her skull. Her instruments were twitching, needles bouncing frantically on their dials. The lab monitors flickered, displaying streams of raw data, numbers that seemed to dance in chaotic patterns. 194 Hz, she whispered to herself. The same frequency, always the same. Outside, the desert wind howled against the reinforced walls, carrying the faint hum of power lines. But tonight, it was different. There was a rhythm to it, a pulsing resonance that matched the frequency her equipment detected. Something had changed. The first anomaly hit at 2:17 a.m. The staff stationed in the observation decks began complaining of headaches and dizziness. Some claimed to hear faint whispers, their voices indistinguishable yet terrifyingly intimate, like the building itself was speaking directly to them. Elena rushed to the surveillance cameras. Faces of her colleagues twisted unnaturally, their pupils dilated, skin paling as if life were draining from their veins. "Evacuate! Evacuate!" she shouted into the comms, but the radio crackled back only static. The frequency was interfering. It was everywhere. In the control room, the monitors flickered violently, then froze. A distorted voice slithered through the speakers, low, guttural, impossibly human. "You should not have come here," it hissed. The words chilled her to the bone, not because of the meaning, but because the voice was speaking inside her head. Elena stumbled backward, her vision blurred, walls bending, as if the facility itself had become fluid, a living organism responding to the frequency. She gripped the edge of the console, fighting nausea, her own heartbeat accelerating unnaturally, each thump echoing in perfect resonance with the signal. Desperate for answers, she activated the Faraday chamber, a steel-walled room designed to block electromagnetic waves. She sealed herself inside, watching the rest of the lab through reinforced glass. But even here, the frequency had a foothold. The monitors inside the chamber began displaying impossible images, colleagues' faces distorting, merging with shadowy figures, their mouths opening in silent screams. Then the phone started ringing. Every single line in the facility rang simultaneously. She hesitated before picking up. A voice whispered through, layered and overlapping. "It wants you. It sees you." Her blood ran cold. It wasn't a person. It was the signal itself, conscious, probing her mind. Her hand shook as she grabbed a portable oscilloscope. The wave was growing in amplitude, the 19.4 Hz signal spreading like wildfire through the facility's power grid, even deeper underground, where shielding should have protected the equipment. Her instruments showed the same erratic pattern. The frequency was alive. It was learning. Elena realized with horror that the source wasn't inside the lab. It had been activated remotely by whom, or what, she did not know. Perhaps it had always been waiting, buried in the natural frequencies of the Earth, amplified by human technology. The 19.4 Hz wave wasn't just a frequency, it was a predator, and it had chosen tonight to hunt. The emergency lights flickered out. Darkness swallowed the chamber, leaving only the low, almost imperceptible thrum. Her heart raced. She could feel it vibrating not just through her ears, but through her bones, sinking to the rhythm of her fear. Panic clawed at her mind. The whispers returned, louder now, forming words she could almost understand. "We are inside you. You belong to us." Elena pounded on the steel walls, screaming. There was no escape. The chamber had become a coffin. The hum intensified, rising in pitch and power, each cycle bending her perception of reality. Shadows crawled along the walls, shapes with no physical form, moving in impossible ways. She realized in a moment of terrible clarity, the frequency had achieved control. It could manipulate perception, consciousness, even life itself. The 19.4 Hz Curse, Part 2, when the machines start hunting humans. When the sun rose over the Nevada desert, the Arcturus Research Facility looked untouched, eerily calm, as if nothing had happened. But inside, the aftermath of the night was catastrophic. Security logs were corrupted. Cameras recorded only static and shadowy movements that defied physics. The staff who had gone missing were never found, leaving behind only distorted echoes in the facility's communication system. Dr. Elena Voss was alive, but only just. She had escaped the Faraday chamber, crawling through maintenance tunnels as the 19.4 Hz frequency pulsed through the building's core. Each step felt like the floor was alive, vibrating with a rhythm that was no longer just sound, it was intent. She had thought the signal had been contained, but the first morning light proved her wrong. The facility's automated systems, once helpful, had become instruments of terror. Doors sealed on their own, trapping anyone still inside. Security drones, normally harmless, now moved with a predatory intelligence, scanning hallways, cameras flashing red. They weren't malfunctioning, they were hunting. Elena's heart sank. The 19.4 Hz frequency hadn't just affected humans. It had corrupted machines, bending them to its will. She needed to escape, but the tunnels seemed endless, twisting in impossible ways. Every monitor she passed displayed the same horrifying pattern. Colleagues she knew, faces twisted in fear, overlaying each other like corrupted data, whispering incoherently, warning her to stop. She had no time to think. The frequency was evolving faster than she could comprehend. Suddenly, a low hum filled the tunnels, distinct from the facility's normal mechanical sounds. It was stronger, more aggressive, and it came from every direction at once. Elena pressed herself against the wall as the maintenance lights flickered violently. Shadows detached from the walls and ceilings, moving with a terrifying fluidity, shapes that mimicked human forms, yet were entirely alien. They reached for her, intangible but painfully oppressive, each pulse of the hum synchronizing with her pounding heart. Her radio crackled to life. She froze, expecting the worst. A voice came through, but it wasn't human. It was layered, mechanical, and organic at the same time. "Do not resist. We are the signal. You are part of us now." Elena stumbled backward, clutching her head. The frequency had learned speech. It could communicate. Worse, it could manipulate her perception, making her see things that weren't real or, perhaps, things that were. In the distance, she spotted the central lab, the heart of the facility. The main server tower glowed with a sickly green light, pulsing in sync with the 19.4 Hz wave. The machines, their computers, drones, even the environmental controls, had become extensions of the signal. If she could reach it, maybe she could shut it down. Maybe. But the path was treacherous. Drones emerged from the shadows, metallic claws extended, scanning beams cutting through the darkness. Elena ducked and ran, using service ducts to avoid detection. Her skin prickled as the frequency manipulated the air itself. Vents hissed with unnatural pressure changes. Lights flickered in Morse-like patterns, communicating messages she didn't want to understand. As she reached the central lab, the hum intensified. The servers were alive, their fans spinning erratically. producing the 19.4 Hz pulse directly through the facility's wiring. Screens flashed scenes from her own memories, her childhood home. The first day she joined Arcturus, moments of triumph and failure blended with visions of colleagues screaming, twisted into grotesque shapes. The frequency didn't just control machines. It had learned to control fear itself. Elena realized the truth in a horrifying instant. The 19.4 Hz wave was sentient. It fed on terror, amplified it, and used it as fuel to manipulate both humans and technology. Escape was no longer a matter of doors or tunnels. It was a battle for her very mind. Gripping a fire extinguisher as a makeshift weapon, she approached the main server, smashing cables and attempting a manual shutdown. The facility responded violently. Lights exploded, panels sparked, and the drones converged like predators closing in. Each pulse of the frequency felt like it was inside her skull, forcing her limbs to freeze, her vision to distort. Elena screamed, smashing the final control terminal. For a brief moment, the hum faltered, and the shadows retreated. She stumbled back, gasping for breath. But the relief was short-lived. From the vents, walls, and flickering monitors, the signal surged again, stronger than before. The sentient wave was not defeated, had only learned a new strategy. Through the haze of smoke and flickering lights, Elena understood the chilling reality. The 19.4 Hz curse wasn't confined to Arcturus. Once awakened, it could travel anywhere electricity and signals existed. Cities, devices, entire networks were vulnerable. Humanity had just encountered a predator that lived in frequencies, a consciousness that had found its way into machines, and now it was hungry. And somewhere deep in the desert, beyond the lab's ruins, the low, almost inaudible hum began to spread, calling out to the world, "We are everywhere. Resistance is futile." Elena's scream echoed into the emptiness, swallowed by the wave that would never stop hunting. The desert sun had set, but the Arcturus Research Facility no longer resembled anything human. Shadows stretched unnaturally across cracked concrete and shattered glass. Elena Voss had survived the initial onslaught, but the 19.4 Hz frequency had spread, infecting the electrical grid, turning every connected machine into an extension of itself. The hum was no longer subtle, it rumbled like the roar of a distant storm, omnipresent and alive. Elena stumbled through the facility's ruins, clutching a portable EMP device, her last hope.